This podcast is intended for informational purposes only and should not be considered or interpreted as legal or professional advice.
Welcome back to another episode of Mika Minutes. I'm your host, Mika Domingo. My guest in this episode is Arlo Zoerner, a loan officer for CrossCountry Mortgage. Arlo is the originating branch manager for his very own team here in Walnut Creek, California, and he has an extensive history of experience working in the mortgage industry. Welcome to Mika Minutes, Arlo.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be with you.
Arlo, can you explain the role of a loan officer like yourself in a probate estate sale?
Yeah, absolutely. When I'm helping a buyer purchase a home, I view my role as a loan officer as somebody who will communicate with all the parties and keep things on track and keep them smooth. And that's not always a given on the lending side in a real estate transaction. So the different parties who are involved in the transaction, they should never be wondering what's happening or wondering if they're on track to complete the purchase. So I remove buyers, sellers, real estate agents, and probate attorneys. I remove the uncertainty with clear and consistent communication.
That's excellent. Nobody wants to guess, right, what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, a little extra handholding, a little extra communication puts everybody at ease. And then, like if you're getting updates consistently and you never have trouble reaching somebody, it just makes everybody more comfortable in the transaction.
So, what unique challenges come up when someone is financing real property that is held in probate? And what makes it different from other financing processes?
It's a great question. So, challenges that are unique to a probate sale, they include, or they can include a few of them. One, having multiple sellers who inherited the property. So instead of just working with one seller or maybe one married couple who's selling the property, sometimes what we see is you have three, four, five, even possibly six heirs who are all participating in that sale. Um, Other things that come up is unknown liens. Sometimes there's very little familiarity with the property because it wasn't their home. They may not have lived in the property. And then the most common one and the big one is the timelines. Those timelines are less firm and based on needing to comply with the courts.
Sometimes there are a lot of surprises, right? You mentioned heirs, and sometimes we deal with unknown heirs. So you
Yeah,
have to be able to address those questions that may come up, even if you've already talked to these heirs. Sometimes there are some who come forward and start asking questions. We certainly experience that when we deal with probate administration. And I'm so happy that you're available for us to help us keep things smooth. A probate sale requires a lot of oversight, as you very well know, and involvement from the court, which further complicates and frequently delays the timeline of a sale. How does all of this affect the lending process?
yeah, yeah. I mean, every probate sale runs its own course, but has certain variables that can cause you to need to make adjustments. So on the lending side, you need to have a plan for those delays and know how they will affect the loan process. A couple things that we're going to do is make sure that borrower documentation and underwriting approvals are not going to expire. Sometimes, if things go well or they're more smooth, you're sticking to original timelines or expected timelines. And then often court dates and just a variety of other things can cause delays. So just being ready to like, can we follow an original plan and be on track for that? But if we get pushed back 30 days, or if we get pushed back 30 or 60 days because of needing to comply with the courts, how's that affect the loan process? Um, Managing when to lock in a borrower's interest rate also takes a different approach. The interest rate locks are typically, normally, traditionally, we lock a rate for 30 days. They can be a little shorter, a little longer, but navigating the buyer's rate lock is going to be a little bit different on a probate sale because you want to make sure that things run smooth and your rate locks don't expire.
So you mentioned sometimes 60 days, right? Uh, does that sometimes get even more extended?
Yeah, so rate locks, A traditional period is for 30 days. They can go out as far as 60, 75, and 90 days, but there's some additional costs to go that far out. So we have to kind of look at the market and determine, do we need to incur more cost to like have coverage for a 90-day window? Or should we drag our heels a little bit on the rate lock and wait until things are a little bit more firm, a little bit more concrete? And so that's market driven. It's not a one size fits all. Depending on the trends with what's happening with rates, when those markets are calmer, or especially if interest rates may be trending down, then time's on our side as we go farther. But like a few years back when we went through like some really steep increases in a short period of time, that's when you need to be a little bit more cautious and just approach the process differently. So a lot of it is just market driven, but you have to blend what's happening in the market with the fact that it's a probate sale, and so how those timelines may evolve.
Thank you so much, Arlo, for this discussion and for joining me on this episode. I would like for you to let our listeners and viewers know how to best contact you.
Yeah, the best way to contact me would be email is always a great way to reach me. I'll have my email information put in the podcast. The graphic will be put in, or we'll put it in the comment section. And if anybody has questions on how to navigate a probate or just for mortgage needs, please feel free to reach out. I'm a total open book, always happy to help.
And your email is Arlo at teamzoerner.com, right? ARLO at TEAMZOERNER.com.
Yeah, that is correct. That's the easiest way to reach me.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
stay tuned for our next episode of Mika Minutes.